Hey, what's going on? This is Raven with Raven's Arcana. Thanks for being here as always. And it's time to continue our discussion on numerology. So the number correspondences to the minor arcana. And we did 1 through 5. Now we're going to do 6 through 10. So we're going to move from that chaos of the 5 and move into growth, which will be 6. Move into 7, which is going to be faith. 8, which is going to be change or real change that we make. 9 will be fruition or the realization of goals just in your grasp. And 10 will be completion. And we'll go through all 4 of the suits for the minor arcana, and we'll begin with the pentacles. So out of that chaos of the 5, being out in the cold, being injured, being ill, being broke, financial ruin, we have growth. We're able to realize that we don't want to be in that position anymore, and we need to grow as a person. And if we're talking about illness or injury, we're going to start rehabbing, right? And if we're beginning to rehab and we see that growth, maybe we share that information with others, that I'm able to do this. I can give you that information of how to rehab that knee. We'll just go with a busted knee to explain this. So you're starting to give back. You're starting to say, hey, you're going to be fine. I went through this procedure, and now I'm beginning to rehab the knee, and I need to share this information with you. Or if we're talking about financially, you don't want to be broke. You don't want to be in a state of financial ruin. And you realize that people were in that position as well. So you have a little bit of change in your pocket, and you're giving back. You're donating a little bit. It's going to be okay here. You're growing. With the growth in the 6 of the swords, the 5 was that inner conflict, right? You had stress, anxiety. You want to move away from that. You want to grow as a person. And your growth is getting away from the things that caused you stress, anxiety, that inner kind of chaos, the stormy seas. You're moving to the calmer seas. You want to move away from that. You want to grow as a person and see if you can remove yourself from those situations. Now the 6, we had the 5, the depression, the sadness, the feeling of loss. And the 6, we're attempting to grow out of that by thinking about the old times. So this is the nostalgia card. We're thinking about the good old times and the way we felt. We were happy, we were joyful, and we want to find that portion of ourselves again. We want to grow back into that happiness and that joy. The growth out of the wands, with the 6 of wands, we had those inner ideas, those competing ideas. We weren't really able to focus because it was chaotic in there, right? A lot of creative ideas, a lot of passion, but no really where to focus. Now we've chosen one. We're choosing to grow as a person, choosing to start a hobby, a passion project, and we're celebrating that. We're celebrating ourselves, that we were able to channel that creativity, that passion, into one of those ideas and grow that passion and that creativity. Now the 7 is faith. 7 is the faith number, and these are the faith cards. So we have the 7 of Pentacles. Out of that loss, out of that illness or injury, right? We begin to grow as a person. We had the procedure. Now we're starting to invest the time in rehabbing. We're really starting to take the time to set routines. We're having faith. We have a vision of being healed, being complete, being at 100%, or we know that we don't want to be broke anymore. We don't want to have that state of financial ruin. So we've seen others suffer with that. We donated a little bit of our money to help them out because we realized that we were in that as well. And now we're beginning to invest money into savings accounts. We're beginning to put back money. We're beginning to balance the budget. And we're watching our accounts grow, or we're watching our health get better because of those routines that we put into place. 7 of swords. Swords are always tricky. So this is the faith of the swords, the faith of the mind, right? We moved away. We wanted to grow mentally out of that chaos, out of that stress, that anxiety. And with the 7 here, we're removing the chaos. He's removing the 5 of swords, leaving good choices in the ground with the 2 swords. A lot of people see this card as deceit. I don't see it that way all the time. Mostly I see behind the scenes. So this is mentally. A lot of people don't realize that you're working on yourself mentally. You're trying to figure out how to make good choices to remove that stress, that anxiety, that chaos in the mind. And have faith in those choices. So the Seven of Cups here, speaking of choices, we had the loss, the depression, the sadness of the 5. Went back to the old times. We know we can feel that way. We know we can be happy, have joy in our hearts. And we know there's some choices to be made here. So we need to make choices, and we need to have faith in those choices, or in that choice to remove ourselves from people, from experiences, from events, from situations that cause that sadness, that depression, that feeling of loss. And with the 7 and the number of faith, the 7 of Wands, right? Competing ideas. We chose one. We chose a path. And now we're defending our position. We're having faith in that choice. We believe that that choice has a future. You have a vision. You're fighting off everything else. You're fighting off the rest of those chaotic ideas, the stuff spinning around, and defending and believing in the choice that you made. That outlet for passion, for creativity. Then we come to the 8. So the 8 is change, true change that you choose to make. So you are making your mark here with the 8 of Pentacles. You are continuing those routines. So it's not something that you're trying to do. It was temporary. You're going to eat healthy. You're going to exercise. And the rehab, we're using the knee, the injury. Actually, if you continue exercising, you continue building muscle, you continue eating right, you're not going to have that injury in the future, most likely. Also, if you continue to save, if you continue to invest and continue to balance your budget, make that permanent change, you're not going to have that financial loss. You're not going to be out in the cold. You're not going to be broke. So you're making a change and making these routines permanent. Now with the 8 of Swords here, right? We had that inner stress, anxiety. We wanted to move away from those, grow mentally, get back to clarity, calmness, logic, and reason. We have faith in our choices that we made to remove that chaos. And now we need to change the way we view ourselves. We no longer want to be in a prison that we created for ourselves. We no longer want to be an inmate in our own mental prison. We need to make that change. Take that blindfold off and completely remove ourselves from anything that we're internalizing. Then we have the 8 of Cups. So out of the sadness, the depression, the feeling of loss. We went back to those good old days, the nostalgia, thinking about how we know we can really feel. We had some choices, or a choice to make. We had faith in those choices. Now we're making that change. We're turning our back to all those old emotions, all those old people, those situations that we put ourselves into that caused that feeling of loss, depression, sadness. We're turning our back, making a complete 180. We're changing the way that we address things emotionally. With the 8 of Wands, moving away from the competing ideas, choosing that one path, that outlet for creativity, having faith in your choice, defending that position, your decision. Now we talked about routines. Now you made that change. You're making that change. You're moving forward. You're being more passionate about this, more creative than you ever have. And now this is a permanent change that you have made. This is something that you're going to do all the time. Then we get to the 9. So 9 is fruition, the realization of your goals, that vision of completion. So we're right there. We're almost there with the 9s. So with the 9 of Pentacles, now that if we're talking about the injury, the illness, the ailment, you see your goal clearly now. Things are starting to come to fruition, which is the 9. You set those routines, you rehab the knee. Now you're starting to realize, hey, I can maybe run a marathon now. I can sprint. I can jog every single day. Or now that I've put money into savings, now that I do this every week, I take money out of my account and I invest it. I'm able to do the things I want, to enjoy a little bit of luxury in life, to buy some things that I want to have around me. And I'm far removed from that financial ruin because of the decisions I made. Everything is just in my grasp. I can see it. Tricky sores. So you had that stress, that anxiety that you wanted to remove yourself from. You wanted to grow mentally as a person. You had faith in the decisions you made to remove that chaos. You made that change, right? You made that change, that decision. And this is the nightmare card, but you're up restless nights. You don't want to be that person that's stressed and anxious and just all that chaos in your mind. So you have sleepless nights. You believe, you have faith in your decisions. It's almost in your grasp, but you're still kind of sweating it out. But you still see that. You're restless. You want it to happen. You want to, you want that change that you made permanently. Leave everything else. Leave all that stress and anxiety. You don't want to even have the memory of it. And the memory keeps you up at night. But that's what keeps you going. Now with the Nine of Cups, with the movement away from the depression, the sadness, thinking about the old times, the realization that you can have that joy and hope in your heart, the faith in your choice to move on, to turn your back, to make that permanent change, and only surround yourself with love and happiness and joy. You're beginning to see that. This is the fat and happy gentleman. You're beginning to feel good. Feel good about yourself. You're beginning to be happy. Have a little bit of joy in your life. Enjoy life. Now with the Nine of Wands, the fruition with the Nine of Wands, you moved away from all those competing ideas. You chose one. You celebrated it. You had faith in your decision. You defended your decision. You made that a permanent change in your life where you're going to have an outlet of creativity and passion. And it's just in the distance, right? It's been hard work. You're beaten. You're battled. But you still have all your wands in the ground. And you still have that one wand you're holding on to, that outlet for creativity and passion. You're almost there. Then we end with the Tens, the completion of the cycle. Now we have the Ten of Pentacles. So far removed from that illness, that ailment, or financial ruin. By placing those routines in your life, in your everyday life, now you have wealth. Now you have a bank account. Now you have a savings account. You have investment accounts. You can enjoy. You can share. You can buy. You can go on vacation. Or if it was the injury or the illness, the ailment, you rehabbed. But you put the rehab routine in place where now that you just eat right, now you exercise, you do everything that makes you healthy, you're able to realize that you can run the marathon. You can run every day. You can do anything you want because you feel wonderful now, because you implemented what was supposed to be something temporary to get you back where you need to be. Now you're just moving forward. And you're realizing that you just want to be healthy all the time. And you always want to have money in the bank. The tricky swords. So the Ten of Swords, that anxiety that has kept you up, that kept you driven to make choices that only provide clarity, where you can address everything with logic and reason, you've put that to bed. You've put that portion of yourself to death. You've made the change. You've stuck to your choices. And no longer will you be up restless nights thinking about the old times when you were stressed and anxious. You're a different person now. That person no longer exists. With the Ten of Cups, you found that joy. So out of that depression, that sadness, the feeling of loss, you went back and you found what made you happy. You made choices. You made the change to leave those old people, those old situations behind, that were negatively affecting you. You had a little bit of that taste with the fruition, and now you see your dreams realized. You're back to sunshine and rainbows, happiness, joy, fulfillment. You made it. And with the Ten of Wands, this is the burden card. However, this is a completion card with the 10. Those competing ideas, you chose one, you had faith in your decision, you defended it, you moved on it, you work on it every single day. You saw your goals, you were beaten, you were battled. Now, everything has come to fruition. Now it's your turn, it's your burden to share this creativity, this passion with everyone else. It's time to release your art. If your passion project is educating, it's time to teach. It's time to record that song. It's time to do whatever it was that was your creative outlet and share that with everyone else. That is your burden now, to help others along the path. All right? So that completes our 6 through 10 for the number correspondences, the numerology for the tarot. Next, we'll move on to our court cards for each of the suits, and then eventually we will get into the major arcana. I want to thank you so much for your time. If you dig the video, please give it a like. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe, show your support, leave any questions or comments. We'll get to them ASAP, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. All right, take care.